We ask for your forgiveness. Please forgive us, Your Highness.
Long ago, the kingdom of Nzo was a land heavy with tradition, where the laws of blood and whispers of gods bound even kings. For 42 years, King Obanife the Just ruled with a steady hand. His reign remembered not for wars won, but for their absence. Neighboring kingdoms envied Nzo's peace, its granaries full, its shrines prosperous, its roads watched by loyal warriors. Yet, beneath this order lay a fracture. The king had no sons. From three noble wives came only daughters, daughters sharp in wit and brave in spirit. But the ancient covenant forbade them from inheriting the stool of Nzo. The covenant had been struck generations before, when the gods themselves demanded that the line of Nzo be secured through male blood. To break it was to break the protection of the land itself. The court whispered, enemies grew bold. The elders began speaking in riddles about succession. Obanife, weary and desperate, turned to the gods once more in a single night of ritual and defiance. He married two new wives, Queen Lolo and Queen Enema. It was less a gesture of love than bargaining with fate, and fate, capricious as always, answered with winds of different kind. From Lolo, the elder, by hours, came Obidigwe, radiant, beautiful, magnetic. From Enema came Ifunaya, born blind, his eyes clouded like milk. The palace mourned the second birth in silence. A blind child was as a broken covenant, a curse carried in flesh. But the king, trembling with age, held both sons and whispered, the gods do not give in halves. Let me raise them whole. The princes grew as opposite as moon and sun. Obidigwe flourished in the light. He mastered swordplay, sang with griots, drank deeply of palm wine, and danced until dawn. His charisma was a weapon sharper than any spear, drawing warriors, maidens, and elders alike in his orbit. He became the people's darling, their heir they longed for. Ifunaya, blind and quiet, learned differently. He memorized histories after a single telling. He discerned lies by listening to the tremor in a voice. He walked the palace without aid, guided by memory and instinct. What he lacked in sight, he compensated with clarity of spirit. His tutors said he possessed the mind of a sage twice his age. But admiration in secret is not the same as legitimacy. To many, he was still the unwanted omen, the shadow of Nzo's future. As King Obanife aged and illness bent his body, the council of elders grew restless. Succession loomed. Some called for Obidigwe, citing his vigor. Others whispered of inviting a cousin from a distant bloodline. No one spoke of Ifunaya, not openly. It was then that the oracle of Omelu the keeper of Nzo's oldest prophecies, was summoned. Her pronouncement was simple but terrible. The flute of destiny lies within the forest of ancestral reckoning. Let the sons of Obanife walk into it. Whosoever returns with the flute shall be king. Let destiny choose where men cannot. The night before their departure, incense thickened the palace air. Drums beat slowly, as if marking the kingdom's pulse. The high priest emerged, bearing two lilies, a cowrie shell, smooth and gleaming, a tortoise shell, jagged and cracked. One part is easy, one of hardship, the priest intoned. Both may lead to the flute, but may lead to death. Choose as the gods will. Tradition dictated that the elder brother, Obidigwe, should choose first. But Ifunanya, blind and listening, stepped forward before him. The court gasped. His fingers brushed both elites. He paused, then chose the cowrie shell. The priest, by ancient mercy, offered him another chance again. He chose the cowrie. Queen Enema wept quietly. My son walks into temptation, she whispered. But hidden beneath her tears was a darker truth. Queen Lolo had bribed the priest, filling his chambers with rare oils and jewels. She had ensured that the cowrie path, the path of indulgence, would be placed wherever her rival son might reach first. Fate had been nudged by human greed. So, it was decided Ifunanya would walk the path meant for ruin. Obidigwe would walk the path of ease. The brothers left at dawn, one blind, one sighted, both bound by silence of destiny. The forest was no ordinary place. It was said that time itself fractured there. The men entered young and left old. The shadows listened and whispered. Obidigwe never reached its heart. Drawn into the village of enjoyment, he succumbed to its endless festivals. There, wine never emptied, women never aged, and every mirror reflected a king. He lingered intoxicated until he could no longer tell whether days or years had passed. Ifunanya, by contrast, arrived at the river that marked the forest threshold. Its waters roared with voice like that of death. And alone, he called out for his brother. No answer came. Then a hand, cold, bony, touched his arm. I am the very man, a voice rasped, feminine yet ancient. Will you trust me, though you cannot see me? I have trusted shadows all my life, he answered. She led him across. He never saw the horrors, the trees that bled, the skies that whispered madness, the breast with too many eyes. His blindness spared him. At least she guided him to a moss covered hut. Knock thrice, she said. Inside, an ancient woman sat by a basin of the still waters. On her altar laid the flute of destiny. carved from bones and humming with unseen breath. Wash your face, she commanded. He obeyed, and when he blinked twice, his sight returned. He saw everything: the hut, the woman, the forest, but most painfully, he saw the truth: the corruption of the priest, his mother's tears, his brother's ruin. The woman's face was monstrous, deformed beyond pity. Yet he bowed deeply. Thank you, he whispered, and she vanished. Funaya returned to Nzo with the flute of destiny in his hands. The court gathered, tense with expectation. When he played it, the sound was not melodious but revelation. The sky turned gold. The people wept. Secrets hidden in their hearts spilled forth: envy, treachery, longing, shame. The kingdom itself seemed to confess. Then Obidigwe stumbled into the courtyard, hollow eyed, clutching a crude imitation of the flute. His voice broke with desperation. I am the heir, not him. This is a trick. But even as he raged, Queen Lolo collapsed to her knees, wailing. I bribed the priest. I feared his weakness. I thought I could tilt fate itself. Forgive me. King Obanife, grunt and grave, raised his voice for the last time. You have betrayed not just your son, but the gods themselves. The kingdom cannot bear your deceit. Obidigwe and his mother were exiled, not in hatred, but in purification. Ifunanya ascended the throne as Obanife too. They called him the king who sees twice, for he had lived both blind and sighted, both deceived and discerning. His first decree shattered the covenant. No longer would the throne be bound by gender. Wisdom, not blood, would rule Nzo. The flute of destiny was sealed away in the hall of silence, never to be played again, for its note had already served its purpose, not to entertain, but to expose. And in the years that followed, bards sang not of battles, but of a king who had walked into darkness blind and returned, seeing more clearly than any man alive. The true measure of kingship is not strength, nor beauty, nor even sight, but the courage to face truth that other sights hide, and to bear the burden of them without turning away. The end.